Hey everyone, my name is Aman Mathur and I'm an engineering student at the University of Waterloo. Today I'm just going to be sharing some tips and takeaways and things that I learned over the past 1.5 remote internships which I've done. I did a remote internship for the second half of the winter term last year, so like in March and April, and then I just finished one for the past 4 months from September to December. So I'm just sharing some of the things which I've kind of learned through talking to managers, through talking to friends, and just some things to keep in mind if you are doing a remote internship right now or starting one in the summer. And just for some context, like I said, I'm at Waterloo, so I've done 6 internships in the past. So I've had a chance to kind of see what the differences are between in-person and online, and how you can still try to make your online internship as effective as possible, both for you from a learning perspective and also just kind of staying sane and happy in this remote world. For the internships that I did, I was in PM or product management and product design roles, but the things that I'll be talking about are kind of applicable generally for any tech industry internship, or really any internship that you're doing online. So I'm going to be talking about 4 main things today. First, I'll be talking a bit about communication with your manager and mentors. Then I'll be talking about building relationships with people on your team. Then I'm going to talk a bit about work-life balance, or separating your work from your life when you're at home. And then finally, I'll be talking a bit about setting goals and kind of iterating as you go with your internship experience. So first off, we got communication. Communication is super critical in a remote world. You don't have those same impromptu chats like when you're walking around the office, you bump into someone, you have lunch with someone, or you just like swivel your chair around and start a conversation with your coworker or ask them a question. Those just don't really exist online. And working from home, you're basically just your laptop, and like Slack or email or whatever you use to communicate. And that's it. In my opinion, the key for communication is being proactive, asking questions sooner than later, and trying your best to kind of get unblocked on things that you're unsure about. I would try to set up touch points with your manager or mentor at least every week. I've heard of people going up to every day. And it could be as simple as like a 5-minute chat or a couple of lines on Slack, just to keep yourself accountable on like what you're going to accomplish in that day, and make sure you're unblocked on anything you have questions about. For me personally, I was talking to my manager in my last internship pretty much almost every day. I found that there were oftentimes days that would kind of just flow by really fast, and I would feel like I didn't accomplish very much, or I didn't really do anything. And just having like that 5-minute chat or like a quick sync with my manager would really put me on the right track, or at least give me the immediate next step that I need to kind of get started. So when you're kind of in those moments, if those moments were to happen in the office, it would usually be as simple as like going to their desk and being like, hey, like how should I get started? What should I do? But since you're online, you kind of have to take that first step to set up that call or message them for help. So I just say, don't be afraid, I guess. Just like reach out, ask for help as soon as possible. The last thing I'd say on communication is if there's something that you're interested in working on, for example, when you're at the office, it's very easy to kind of see people having meetings, being like, oh, what are they talking about? Oh, that seems like a cool project. You might walk by a screen and see like a deck on a slideshow, like going on a TV, and be like, oh, that's really cool. You kind of don't have that experience online. So I'd say if you hear things that you're interested in, definitely follow up with them after the meeting. Message someone who is talking about it, be like, hey, could I learn more about that? Maybe there's potential for you to help out on a different project as well. The 4 months are kind of up to you on how you want to make them. So I'd say make sure you are proactive in these situations and reach out when you need help. Now, my next biggest takeaway is on relationships with coworkers. One of the toughest things is joining a team that already has these predefined, pre-existing relationships. Because maybe before COVID, they were all in the office together. They would kind of have socials, do fun things. But now it's all remote, and now you're joining. So you gotta kind of, it's twice as hard. It's already hard to onboard to a new team, and then it's even harder when you can't physically see faces or meet people or like grab lunch, things like that. There actually are a lot of fun ways to do this without having like a really intense like team social or paid event or anything. One of the fun things we did at one of my internships, every day at stand-up, before we'd share our updates, we'd actually spend like 5 minutes answering like a funny question. We'd just go around the room. Things like, what's like the weirdest thing you ordered on Amazon? And everyone would answer, and it would just be like a fun way to kind of mimic that in-person conversations that you'd have, and those light conversations to kind of lighten the mood in the morning. Another thing which I definitely recommend is doing something like lunch and learns, where people present a topic every week just to get to know what people in your office do outside of work. So it shouldn't be work related, or it could be if they want it to, but just something that they're passionate about to share with the team to get to know everyone and what they're up to. Just being a fun way for people to share something and a fun way for you to learn about colleagues in ways you otherwise might have not. And if your team isn't already doing these things, definitely bring it up with your teammates or your manager. Just be like, hey, I saw this video, I heard about this cool idea, can we try it out next week? Maybe it'll be a hit and everyone will love it and you'll do it for the following weeks. Maybe it'll flop and everyone's like, what is this? And then you can try something else the week after. But the point is to try. There's no point in, I guess, just waiting for things to go back to normal. You might as well make the most of it and try to create as much fun and those relationships as you can when you're online. So the next topic is work-life balance, and this is one that I was kind of unsure of if I wanted to include in this video because there are so many articles and things which talk about this already. But I thought I would still just mention it, mainly on the topics of creating an environment that you can kind of thrive in. I think one great way of doing this is when you wake up first thing in the morning, don't like hop on Slack and check your email right away. Have some sort of morning routine. It doesn't have to be like running a mile and then doing yoga and then taking a cold shower or anything. It can be something very simple like making coffee or I don't know, going for a walk or like reading 10 pages of your favorite book. Something like very simple that you do in the morning to kind of set your priorities straight before you start work, just so that you kind of have this difference in what you're doing for work and what you're doing in your life. Additionally, I would say, if possible, I know not everyone can kind of work outside of their bedroom if you have space limitations, but what I would say is you can find small ways to differentiate your work time from your lifetime. So this could be as simple as like changing into like your work clothes, or it could be changing the lighting in your room. Maybe you turn on a certain lamp when you're just chilling, but you have like a white light when you're working. Or it could be something, it could be like on Chrome when you have different users, like having a different browser for your work and then a different one for your personal. So just these small things which basically segment your work and your life separately so that everything doesn't get combined, because it's very easy to fall into a trap of everything getting mixed together. And there's this great quote, which is, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And I think this is really important. We always have those days where we're like, oh, tomorrow I'm going to be super productive, tomorrow I'm going to do this and that. But we often kind of fall back to our old habits. We don't end up achieving the things we want to. So just setting up your environment and your systems for you to succeed is the best way to kind of make sure that when you fall back, you at least have those things which you've set up so that you are still maintaining that level of success that you want. And this is a topic that I find really cool, so I might actually like make a whole video about this in the future if people are interested, so definitely let me know. And the last thing that I want to talk about is on goals and introspection. I guess traditionally with goals, we're taught to kind of set some goals at the beginning of the term. This is actually something that I didn't do for a few of my internships until I had managers who kept kind of pushing me to do it more and more. And I think it's super important, especially in like a 4-month span, to have a pretty clear idea of what you want to get out of it, so that when you come out of it, it's less about being like, did I achieve this? Did I do this? But more about like, what did I learn? What did I gain from this experience? Now, you might have heard of things like SMART goals before, which is like specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. This is a great framework to kind of get started for very tangible things you want to accomplish. For example, like finish X amount of tickets in this time if I'm a developer, or I want to get this feature shipped, like these types of very specific things that you want to do. In addition to that, I think there is value in also setting some loosely defined goals. And what I mean by this is things like, for example, one of the things I wanted to do last term was just get a better sense of what PM was like what being a product manager at a company would be like. And I think I achieved that. I think that's like a looser goal. There wasn't necessarily like an achievement or action tied to it, but for me personally, I understand that I kind of know it better. Another kind of goal could be like, I want to work on something that I'm proud of, or I want to make impact on the team. Obviously, it is nice to quantify these things, but sometimes it's also nice to just have a loosely defined like notion if have you done this thing or not. And what really worked well for me last term, I actually had like one big document which I shared with my manager. We would review it like every week or so, like in those check-ins that I talked about. And it would kind of just have like a weekly breakdown of what I was working on. But at the top of that, it would have those goals. So we can kind of always look back at it, be like, oh, we're kind of reaching the halfway point. You still haven't done this. Like, maybe we should find some time or find a project where you can do this thing or you can try this out. One other thing that's pretty important is if there's something that you're really interested in working on, I would just bring it up with your manager. I've personally done internships in like many different roles. And the way that I've kind of been able to do that has been by really just asking like, oh, I'm really interested in this topic. Maybe I could like shadow this person or get some work on this other project. One of the things that companies usually want for their interns is for them to learn the most. So just take advantage of that. Ask your manager, like be completely honest. If your manager isn't super receptive, maybe just talk directly to the person in that role that you're interested in. Ask them, maybe you can help them out one day a week or something, or pick up an easy task. Or even just join some meetings or join some calls with them to understand what they're working on. And the last thing I'd say, which might be kind of counterintuitive, the first part is that there is a global pandemic right now. Things are really weird. Work will be different. It is online. Like, there's lots of new variables for everyone. So I just kind of take everything as like an iterative process and continue to learn. And also, I guess, cut yourself some slack if you feel like you aren't kind of doing as much as you can. I think it's kind of okay right now to do that. I think the second contradicting thing is that I often found myself, for goals that I had, like even posting this video, using the pandemic as an excuse to like not do things or to kind of put things off. Be like, oh, when things get back to normal. But what I've been trying to do, at least in 2021, I don't know when things will be back to normal. So just try to make the most of it, make the most of your time, especially in an internship. Like, still kind of try to do as much as you can, set your goals, do all that stuff. But just remember that it's kind of weird and it's a weird time. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you've learned anything new this video, definitely drop a like for the YouTube algo. I'll be making future videos, so if you have any ideas about things you'd like to hear about, whether it's like design, tech, product, or really anything else, I'll probably be posting things on this channel in the future, so let me know. All right, thanks. See ya.